All right, guys, Copper Cutlass. So since the last update, a lot has happened, relatively speaking. So remember that nice 350 that was up here? I ended up taking that apart because crankshaft number 2 at the machine shop, although it wasn't bent, which that's crankshaft number 2. Number 1's in the block and it's bent. So that one wasn't bent, but it needed to be ground. And the machinist said, there's no sense in grinding it. If you got a good crankshaft, then we can polish up. It's wasted money, which I love. So after checking the block, we confirmed that it was line honed, but where the bores of the mains are at, they're at a certain high and low. They're on the high end of the tolerances for opening them up. So he didn't want to mess with that. So we're going to go about it a slightly unique way to gain that extra thou of clearance that we want. Here, I'm having a little bit of a brain fart, but so either way, it's on the mend. So once we can open up the bores, we can clean up the block, balance the rotating assembly, and hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll have something we can put together. Now I really haven't been out here, but obviously I took the engine apart and I learned my lesson with the current engine that I'm building. Good parts are becoming harder and harder to come by. So this block, it happens to be junk because what happened was it's got a chunk missing out of the starter pad. I can't do anything about it. And the fuck's in here buzzing around, Jesus. So either way, what's going to happen is I'm going to end up using this block and I'll talk about it. And I got a set of 7A heads as well that I might do something with as well. I mean, I bought another 350 that I have to pay JJ for. Thanks, JJ. And we still got a project that I haven't talked to you guys about, but we're going to try to do something really cool with that. And we're trying to really plan it out, and I'm not trying to even talk about it. So what I'm going to take from this engine is the balancer is actually in pretty good shape. Actually, looking at it now, it's a little grooved on the snout. Probably not. I'll probably just chuck it. But I'm going to keep the rods because the crankshaft that came, obviously, in that assembly was really good. So I got a good spare set of rods if I need them. That crankshaft's good, but it needs to get ground. That one's bent, so that's scrap. And I actually have another block at work. The main caps for it are back there. The dry ones, not the wet ones. The wet ones are for that block. So either way, today I actually took the Bonneville for a drive. Remember I told you guys I was going to mess with the distributor curve? I did, and it still has, man, it's the most annoying thing. So if you're cruising down the road and you're just lightly on the throttle and you barely like blip the throttle, it has a flat spot, like a little tiny little bog. If you mash it, it's non-noticeable. But it annoys me that when I'm driving down the road, I got that little annoying flat spot. And it underloads too, like from a light, sometimes it does it pretty good. So a couple of reasons, and guess... So, theory number 1, this carburetor gets hot. I think it's boiling the fuel. And notice how the provision for the EGR and the exhaust crossover, notice their location. They're directly over the flow bowls, the floats of the carburetor. It's a lot of heat. So, I actually have a shield I'm going to dig out. I'm going to install it, but I also bought heat isolators for it. Not the phenolic ones. I bought the thick OE style, like fiber style isolators, which work really well as well. So I bought that, but I am going to rebuild the carb. So I had good working stuff, but I have a little bog, and it's really annoying me to the point where I have to fix it. So I actually think it might be the carburetor. Something in the accelerator pump circuit might be clogged, and you might only get a good fuel shot if you're really into it. So that could be it. I mean, that carburetor has not been apart in 15 years, and I've never drained it over the winter. And then all these rituals that people... I park them and I park them, and that's it. So I will fire them up like a couple of months just to... But the fuel goes bad within 3 months. So like at the beginning, I try to park it with a quarter of a tank. That way it'll fucking go out. But once you get that layer of gas or water in your E-blend fuel, what happens is it actually separates. So you can throw in fresh fuel, but it makes no difference. And if you guys want to argue that, then you guys need to go to Bob's the Oil Guy And he fully explains with the E-blended fuels what happens when they break down and they start to absorb moisture. And once you get that layer, yada, yada, yada. It's really good read, really good information. So either way, I'm letting the car cool down. I had it out. It's about like 84 degrees. Car runs great, as always. I slowed down the timing curve, and it seemed to kind of like it, but really it actually slowed it down throughout the RPM. So I'm going to end up reverting back to a lighter spring setup, which it seems to like, so I don't think it's a timing issue. But again, in the same token, this is a really kind of worn out engine. It's been around for quite a while. And I mean, it might have 15, 20,000 miles, but it was like a re-ring kind of a rebuild. The heads were just, the valves were lapped and cleaned up. And really, it's been beat. I raced it for quite a few years, saw a lot of street miles, and I drove it on this. And so all around, I've gotten my money's worth. So either way, let's get to the good stuff. Freebies and new tools. So I bought this really cool cam bearing install tool from Toombs Racing and Machine. Real nice people to deal with. I bought a cam install tool as well. Even though I use the AC accessory, this was cheap and it was really nice. So I got that and the install, the bushings and everything. And I think I'm actually going to make a video over the weekend. I'll set up the GoPro and we'll try to install cam bearings on this block. I do have a set of sacrificial cam bearings, and I'm going to give it a shot, and I'll make a video, and it'll be like, live pretty much. There's no real way to do it, so besides doing it. So I'll set up the GoPro. I'll do that. But either way, I got that. I think altogether I got like $180 in this. It's a really nice tool to have. I've spent enough money having shops install cam bearings for me. It's time for me to attempt it. And then I went over by my buddy Sean's last week, and he let me have some really cool stuff. I got a new micrometer. It's really nice. I got some telescoping gauges, a dial indicator. I got another set of bore gauges, but they're actually ID mics. And I got this really cool old grinder for like cylinder head porting, but it needs a new head for it. So I'm going to have to talk to some people who know old tools, or anybody out there who knows old tools, where I can get maybe like a drill chuck adapter for this or something like that. I'll have to make something. But this is a really cool grinder. It's got some serious power to it. It's an old Craftsman. So, old Craftsman is actually good. So that was free. Big shout out to him. I went over there and I checked out his 67 Cutlass, which that's actually how we met. He asked me for some advice through the forums, and I've known him probably as long as I've lived out here where I'm currently at. So I've known him almost 10 years, and throughout the years I've gone over there and given him advice, and we've talked, and we bounce ideas around, and it was really nice to see his car done. So if he sees this, Sean did a great job on your car. I know I mentioned it to him on the spot, and he's got a really nice cruiser. And just the kind of opportunity, you get to meet people by chance, and you get to help each other out. That's kind of what the car hobby is all about. And you may not hang out all the time, but when you do, it's pretty mutual. And I didn't become friends with him to get anything out of it, but I got some tools, and that was really cool. So guys, never pass up the opportunity to help people out, because down the road, it's good juju. So let's see. We got cams. So I know I'm bouncing back and forth. So when we do the cam install, we need a good cam to install and check out to see if it fits. And then what else do I got here? I ran out this morning and I bought an AGM charger. I'm trying to revive this old AGM. And the way that you're supposed to do these, I guess, if you don't have a smart one, which I didn't know I bought a smart one. It was a cheap one, so I didn't think it would have the smart features in it. You're supposed to run them in parallel, throw a charger on the good battery, and it'll trick the whole system. And then once you get to like 10.5 volts, you can put a charger on that and it'll charge. But right now, the battery is sulfated, but this battery charger has a sulfate sequence in it. So hopefully I'm letting it run through its courses and it's going to do its thing, and hopefully it revives it, because everything I've read says that you can revive a deep dead AGM battery. So this has been dead since the winter. It registers like 6 volts, but does absolutely nothing. So it's got like no oomph, no amperage. I've learned a lot about batteries in the last couple days, and Probably more than I really wanted to. But honestly, like I'm kind of winging it here, and I got luckily I did buy a good charger, and it's actually going through the whole sequence, and hopefully it's good. I got some projects I'm working on outside of here. Trailer that I use for towing my car is my boss's, and he wanted to do some modifications to it, add a winch, and that's what that battery is going to be for, is for the winch if we can revive it. But if not, the big reason, the turnoff for me from using that is that it's really hard to find a AGM solar charger because they charge at such a low rate and they discharge at such a low rate that you really, how can I say this? You need you need an adapter or something to control the rate of charge on it. So it's almost better to go with a conventional flooded style battery. So either way, yeah, that's like a small little project, but I'm letting the car cool down before I do the carb rebuild. And when I do the carb rebuild, I'm going to do another little series of videos. I've done carb rebuilds before. You guys have seen that. Nothing new. So I'm letting the car cool down. I'm trying to cool off as well. I got to go mow the lawn. Then I got to go pick up something to throw on the grill for dinner. It is 4th of July weekend. So guys, have fun. Be safe. Don't drink too much. Drink water. Sound like my mom. So, yeah, we'll let you guys go. Share, like, subscribe. Just kind of what I got going on. It's kind of a mess in here. Last weekend I took that engine apart and I didn't bother cleaning it back up. So I gotta pick up at some point this weekend, but we'll let you guys go.